It's like QWERTY exclamation point 2004. It's a new year, so you use QWERTY
2005, baby.
exclamation point 2005. I mean, that totally makes sense for password rotation to me.
Welcome to From Cover to Code, the Technology Book Club. Join us as we discuss artificial intelligence, DevOps, software development, cloud computing, and more. With your hosts, Angela Andrews and Michael Jenkins. The next episode of From Cover to Code starts now.
And we are live.
Yes, we are live, like live. Not just live, but we live.
Indeed. Liver than live, I think is what you said last episode.
How you doing?
I am very well, Angela. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. Happy to be here.
Exactly. Same. I'm glad that we are able to connect and cover this material that we just been soaking up from the book that we're covering this season, Hands-on Python for DevOps by Ankur Roy.
I know. So let's get into it.
Let's jump right into it. Well, we can do a quick welcome to welcome all the folks here.
Yes.
If you're joining us with a live stream, let us know where you're joining us from. If you read these chapters, if you're following along, let us know your thoughts as we start getting into the discussion. We already got some comments from he's just like a fan, Tech Coach Ralph. We love you, my man. He says the intro is fire. Thank you so much for that. Again, wanted to level it up for season 3. So yeah, glad to have you here with us today. Yeah, I've had a busy week, but I did get through these pages so that we can get through this discussion and see what's up with hands-on Python for DevOps.
For DevOps, right? So before we go any further,
yeah,
I'm gonna turn my camera off for just a second.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on 1 second.
I know what you got. Well, I could take you off the stage. Oh man, we have to take care of some issues here as we prepare for live streaming. And again, we're working 9 to 5s just like the majority of folks that are joining us. So we can't always just like pop into the studio and be ready to go. Sometimes we're running to the studio and we get here and it's like, oh, wait a minute, I forgot the X, I forgot the Y, I forgot the Z. And so we got to take care of those things. But we are here for this discussion and to share our thoughts with you.
I forgot the Z.
Okay.
If you were wondering, I forgot the Z. But yeah, literally, like work just ended.
Yeah.
We do this. We sit here all day doing work things, and it's like time for cover to code.
Exactly.
So you turn your chair, and for me, it's like work, and then it's like, okay, now here we go. It's a very small transition from one to the other, but
fortunately there's no commute. Like the commute, like you said, is literally just swiveling your chair from one setup to another setup, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, but I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to talk. Very excited to talk about what we are reading, chapter 5 and 6, and we have thoughts. And we want to discuss them and share them with one another and with you because you're rocking out with us. So
I know. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for this adventure. Yes. But yeah, let's get right into it. Chapter 5, manipulating resources.
Yes.
I've got thoughts on a few of the examples from this chapter. Some for the better and maybe some for the worse. But I'll just stop there because I don't want to just like hog the microphone too much.
Well, I don't mind giving my opinion because it's very succinct. Chapter 5 was interesting. I found the use cases mentioned to be very plausible in most environments. Testing features on a subset of users, resource adjustment, the use cases are out there in the ether. People are solving for these types of problems in a myriad of ways. And because this book focuses on Python, it uses that as the tool in which to solve said problem. So not everything needs a hammer. So I was, underwhelmed a little bit with the examples, but the use cases that which are great can spark the creativity to solve these problems in different ways. Yes, it can be with Python. It can be with other tools as well. So that's what I'm gonna stop there because it was a very short chapter too.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm gonna stop there and let you take it away.
Yeah, because I felt some of the same sentiment that you shared, that the examples were good for introducing the ideas of the idea behind the concept that he was demonstrating, demonstrating it with Python. But indeed, there would be some other tool, some full-on service perhaps to handle what he was demonstrating. First example was header processing for edge locations. And the example was, routing traffic for some sort of streaming service so that, or maybe streaming being data, information, video, audio, whatever, it's theoretical.
Very apropos though.
Yeah, exactly. It's like having some experience with systems that stream information, data, media to different places. I got what he was saying, and I appreciated that he demonstrated how you could do that with Python, with headers, and the information there. But my first thought was, there are full-on systems and services that do this. Like, people invest their careers implementing systems that route traffic. So just to say, oh, you could do this with a Python script is sort of a misnomer. It's kind of like snake oil, right? Python is not the secret sauce for routing traffic at the edge. There's a lot more to it than that. Only other takeaway from this one, I really wish he had given like a sample header just to kind of show what the header looked like, and then show how Python could process the header itself. Maybe even some of the functions on how to do that. So that was kind of my takeaway from that first example.
But with all of that, again, it's always trying to pick the right tool for the job, right? And I think using Python as a possible tool, again, I think these use cases are great. I think if you had to come up with a solution for said use cases, hopefully the examples that he gave showed you the art of the possible. But depending on where you are, what cloud you're in, what services you have at your disposal, they may have more impact on how you do said or solve said use case. So again, I thought they were great. I thought they were very, very on brand with what we see, what we encounter on a regular basis. But not necessarily, Python is not necessarily the best tool for these types of use cases. They're a tool, but we're into what's the best tool for the job.
Yeah. Well, I did appreciate the couple examples that he gave. The first one was using the Marshall library, which is a native Python library for marshalling data. I'll have to Google a true definition of what it means to marshal data. But the example that he gave was converting bytes to strings for processing and analysis, and then converting that string information back to bytes so it could be transmitted to wherever, the upstream or downstream system. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then he also gave an example where he used the multiprocessing library just to show Python's native ability to create multi-threaded operations in a single script.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. I do.
Yeah. That one was pretty cool. And just to know that, okay, these are capabilities that are built into the language, right?
Exactly.
You don't have to lean on some sort of external. I mean, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of external libraries that could help you with stuff probably similar to this, but probably good enough to use what's baked into the application being Python. It's already there. So if you need to marshal some data, transfer it from this to that, translate it, there's a library there. If you want to take advantage of more CPU than what your single threaded script is able to use, then, you could tap into the multiprocessing library. It's already baked in.
Yeah, I thought that you the fact that you brought that up about the multiprocessing, I forgot about that one because I read that one like on the fly, and I was I was impressed with that you could actually do that and utilize those processors in the way that you wanted to. And it's very simple, very simplistic, but that just shows just the power of Python, I thought. Yeah. So thoughts, thoughts.
Yeah, I learned Marshall. I learned multiprocessing I'd seen before. So yeah, and I guess my overall takeaway thought, perhaps I was disappointed by the title of the chapter, which was manipulating resources. I wanted to see a little bit more of like maybe managing resources in the cloud. Like what is a resource in this particular in the context that he used these examples? Was the resource the streaming data, and you're figuring out where to or how to manipulate this resource to get it to the end user? Was it, he talked about A/B testing? Okay, so is it the special response or the regular response? Is that the resource, the response from the website? And then, I mean, we already talked about marshalling and multiprocessing. I didn't really know what the resource was. So I was going into this chapter thinking like, oh, we're going to manipulate resource. But I was like, we never saw what I consider to be a resource, which is like some sort of CPU or memory or database or something like that.
I agree with you. Because we looked at the chapters so far in advance, you have an idea or a perception of what you think is going to be in it. And I agree with you. I thought the manipulating resources chapter would have been like, you have these resources in your VPC and you want to manipulate them using Python, that, because they're already deployed. They already have, some IAC that put them there and maintain them. But if you're trying to show this as an example, that would have been kind of cool. But you know what? Nothing beats a failure but a try.
There you go.
Oh, did you catch the quote in the beginning of the chapter?
As I was reading this chapter, I should say after I read both of these chapters, I thought about you mentioning that there were quotes at the beginning, and I still overlooked them. Like I realized that I overlooked them as I was reading. So if you have the quotes to share, I'm happy to hear them because I missed both of them.
So this is from Galadriel from Lord of the Rings. So when I saw her name, I was like, oh, okay. And into this ring, he poured his cruelty, his malice, and his will to dominate all life. One ring to rule them all. So is Python the ring?
Maybe. I mean, it's got a lot baked into it. It's got a lot poured into it, if we're using this analogy. And it could be the one
script. Malice, I mean, I guess you could, use your powers for bad. It does allow you that.
Well, if I can use another quote from another cinematic universe, with great power comes great responsibility. Amen. So let's turn it to that. Turn it to the positive.
I like that one better because we're talking. I mean, I love her quote. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But for the subject at hand, yeah, I think the Marvel quote is much better. Okay. Cool. Let's talk about okay, so I don't have any notes.
Chapter 6 is the next up. DevSecOps.
Okay. Yeah, there is a quote. And it's from Randy Newman. Do you know who that is?
Is that the guy from Mad Magazine? No, that's I don't know why I'm thinking about Mad Magazine. Go ahead. Tell us who it is.
He sang "You Got a Friend in Me" in Toy Story.
Got it.
And there's a quote, because he's a singer, like he has more music than that one song that we all know. But his quote is, "It's a jungle out there, disorder and confusion everywhere." So that's much more poignant for this chapter, I do think. Security and DevSecOps with Python.
I think so.
So yeah, let's kick this party off. So this one started about securing your data, securing your API keys, storing environment variables, which is, I always say to myself, most of these examples that you see in tutorials, and they're like, yeah, just put it in the code, but don't do it in real life. And I had to tip my hat to be like, you know what? good. We are showing people that this is not how this works. Like there are other, and using the tool at hand, which is your system, but there are other tools that allow you to obfuscate that information. But the fact that almost you can probably count, if you thought about it, you've seen 5, 6, 7, 10 tutorials where they're like, now we're doing this, but don't you do it in real life. I think that's so funny. I just heard that like last week and I was like,
wow.
Yeah, so this was a breath of fresh air, but it's a great excuse for using Python. It is an amazing excuse for using Python. So off the rip, that being in the beginning of the chapter, I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, and he kind of caught my attention too. And he was like talking about passwords. It's like, do you use the same password for everything? And
he called me out. You saw that?
Yeah, exactly.
Who you talking to?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, of course I use the same password for everything. Who can remember all these passwords? Or maybe you don't. Dear listener, your response might be a little bit different to that question. But I thought it was a good way to capture
he got my
people's attention. Yeah, indeed. And he also said that security is everyone's responsibility, but we need to account for human error. And that's where like the ops portion of it, the automation of it, the applying Python for some of the scenarios that he shared kind of comes into play.
I agree.
Because we will reuse passwords easily.
We're humans.
Yeah. And we'll also check API tokens in with the code that, runs whatever we were demonstrating or trying out in AWS or Azure or wherever. And then next thing you know, we're basically hosed down in our AWS account.
And we're on the news. We've made the news.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
That is not how I want to be remembered.
Not at all. You don't want your picture kind of frozen in time next time.
Nope, don't want it. Don't want it at all. So we're talking about securing your secrets and ways. And in this instance, I thought it was a really great example. But again, in your cloud provider, there's probably tools that you're using right now that have these kind of built in. He mentioned Amazon Macy, which I thought was really cool. That was actually, no, that's for PII. Which can be passwords, to be clear. But there are other tools like Trufflehog and things like that kind of, if they're in your pipeline, they're going to make sure you don't make crazy mistakes like that. So, but again, this is, if you're writing scripts in test and you are doing things a certain way, you're not necessarily in the pipeline yet. You're just, okay, let me just make sure this is just an environment variable or in my .env file, just so you know. Oh, we have Hey, Sterling, how you doing?
Let's see. We got a comment that I need to pull onto the screen. Sterling says, after I get tired of one universal personal password, I update to another universal personal password.
We're just recycling those.
Yeah, exactly. After it's like QWERTY ! 2004. It's a new year, so you use QWERTY ! 2005. I mean, that totally makes sense for password rotation to me.
It sure does. And that, you know what? No one's complaining about the number of pound signs before and after. Like, no one complains. So if that's all I need to mix things up a bit.
I also heard one where you should put commas in your passwords so that when the hackers come through and like they have, they get your stuff and they dump it in a CSV file, it messes up their formatting because your password has a comma in it. But
that's
That's
true.
I don't know how true that is, but
no. If you are doing, I think that is true. I'm gonna check because but I think that is an accurate assumption, especially if you're running it through Loftcrack or something. I think the ones with the commas in it have been problematic. I don't know if it's still that way, but I vaguely remember something about that many months ago.
I took it as anecdote, but maybe it's applicable.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. Who knows? All right, what else we got?
Yeah, so before we move on from like .envs, he did give some examples of like using .env approach and using reading directly from the environment. The one comment that I had for this one is that my preference is to not have a file sitting there in the repository, because especially when I start new projects, if I don't have a git ignore in place and I create this environment file that has all my stuff, I'm sure enough, I'm checking that file in easy, and then of course, like we talked about, I'm owned right away, right? So I rather have the environment inject the whatever secrets or credentials or keys into the space that I'm working in. And I use Python virtual environments to do this. I'll have a script whenever I say work on this project. This is a file that's outside of my repo, and it injects them into the shell that I'm running. So that way I don't even have to worry about, keys sort of escaping through the code or through my file system. But then, like to your point where you talked about, if you're working in sort of a little, test environment, QA, local, whatever the case is, that's different from a production environment, which is going to use Vault or Parameter Store or Secrets Manager. And then you're basically going to have a role that gives the system or service permission to read the secret when it needs it. It's not just like always sitting there in the environment or always sitting there in a file. You have to have the explicit permission to read the secret and pull it in.
So again, we're talking about Python having the ability to use the .env file or use environment variables, and it is another what's the word I'm looking for? It's another thing that Python can do. Like it's another screwdriver. It's another tool. Like again, if you're doing things local development, it's not a bad idea to have an environment variable or put something in your bash profile or your bash RC. Again, you said you don't want anything in a file, but or just export your API keys or whatever. And when you're done, when you finish your session, it's like, well, that's over. And you don't have to concern yourself with it anymore. So I think it's a great use for a lot of people who do things locally first. If you're like an engineer or an admin where you have your own plethora of scripts running to do and fix and deal with certain systems, back in the day I had such a thing, and it would be a folder full of things. I would put them in source control, but for the most part, if I'm not making changes, they're all running on my local machine. And I've already used my AWS configure or some other type of, especially if you're using AWS, you can go ahead and run against your environment. But if you're doing something against your VMware or whatever, that's usually local. And you authenticate a different way. But I digressed. Better chapter, I think, than the last one. I had more takeaways from that one. And secrets management, very important no matter what you're doing or where you're doing it. Keep track of your secrets.
Yeah, no doubt. Keep them safe.
Yeah.
And the other example, he did a really quick example with phone numbers, extracting PII from data as you're processing it. And I mean, basically did it with regular expressions to show that, Python has built-in regular expression processing. And he gave a purpose-built expression for phone numbers and talked about how you can expand it to, pick up different phone numbers. I guess in his case, he just used the standard US convention of 3 digits for the area code, 3 digits for a prefix, and then 4 digits for the last part of the number, separated by dashes.
Right.
So whenever you if you process this data with a script, it'll see like, hey, that's a phone number, and then it'll replace it with some arbitrary text that sort of obfuscates the phone number. So that was a decent example. He talked about binary authorization, and I'll stop before I go into this one to see if you had any comments on the regular expression.
Because I can't. There's probably 1 or 2 regular expressions that I know off the top of my head. That's Googleable. That's something that I don't waste any thinks on it. And he also mentions like it's a web search away to find the expression that fits your use case. And he's right. 100%. I believe that. Now I will say about the binary authorization, I I didn't Google. I used ChatGPT. It
Mhm.
could have been Google because I who knows? I go between the two. But I said, well, what is this binary authorization? And it's something.
Yes.
It's a Google tool. And I said, well, what is the equivalent in AWS? And when it
Hmm.
listed out 7 services, I was like, I laughed a little bit because I'm like, oh
Yeah.
wow, they made this one. And again, I'm not a Google Cloud user by any means, so I'm gonna let you take that one.
Yeah, well, I appreciated what he was trying to show from a DevSecOps perspective, and that use binary authorization to define that the correct image is being used. So,
Exactly.
you know, through this process, you can say, "Yay, verily, this is the image that I want to apply in this particular context." And the context he used was a Kubernetes cluster. So he gave a demo to show, like, hey, this is how you pull in the libraries, and this is how you use this script to configure your cluster. What I didn't care for, and this is like from the perspective of somebody who's maybe reading this book but has no clue what Kubernetes is,
Mm-hmm.
no clue of like maybe how to configure a cluster, let alone or should I say stand up a cluster, let alone configure one, and yet you're running the script against a cluster. Maybe it's enough to read it and understand it,
I
but
think
as
so.
a hands-on demo would be kind of tough because you would have to create your cluster first. You'd
Yes.
have to have an image that you deployed that's running, and then you would have to go through these steps to use this binary authorization to configure your cluster. And then, I mean, if you really want to be sensible about it, you would have some steps to validate that this is actually in place. And we didn't get too much of that in the chapter.
Right. And in the
But again, yeah, we're just saying, this is theoretical. He's introducing the concepts, giving you a demo, and leaving it to the reader to sort of expand on their own and learn a little bit more, dig a little bit deeper. So I can't get too down on them for that one, but yeah, that's just my thoughts on that.
And when I was reading the technical requirements for this chapter, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, Google Colab, they had that in the last chapter or the chapter before the last chapter. Oh, you need a Google Cloud account. And I'm like, well, I closed that one. So I'm not opening
Yep.
that back up. But then when I got to that section and I was like, oh, he wants a whole GKE.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing it. So this is more theory, so you can
Yeah.
understand the art of the possible. I appreciated that, but I wasn't doing all that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, agreed. Agreed. Same for the next example where he used a run book to restart an EC2 instance. And
Mm-hmm.
this was from the perspective of using a Python script for incident management. So I guess that kind of falls into DevSecOps, perhaps. If it's the case, I think the instance he gave was CPU was spiked, or the instance was no, it was network traffic.
Yes.
The instance was not delivering the traffic that it should be for some period of time, and based on that metric, the first start out of the box is just let's just reboot it and see what happens.
Right.
So he kind of walked through a process to set up the stage that would allow that run book to be applied.
Now I looked at that exercise. You have to assume a certain knowledge of the console specifically and how to do these things, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, as a person who may have never done these things. Tech coach Ralph is just going
Mm-hmm.
off.
Yeah, I mean that's just like that's IT 101 right there, right?
1098. What are you talking
Yeah.
about? But anyway, about that example, I thought it was again, this is a use case for this exists out in the wild, and could it work for someone in some scenario? Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. But usually depending on your environment, there may be something that's already in place, or you would be creating something that was a little bit more finessed than this. But again, showing you the art of the possible with Python as that tool. So I can't be mad. I can't be
Yeah.
mad.
Yeah. And again, I try to think about this, like reading this book as somebody who may not have experience with these tools. And to me, it seemed like one of those perpetual motion machines where you got to set everything up beforehand. Because he was like, okay, we're going to do the Cloud Watch. Well, first we get our EC2 instance. Then we're going to do the Cloud Watch to track network traffic. Then we're going to set an alarm. Then we're going to do Event Bridge. And now finally we get to this Python script in Lambda that runs a systems manager notebook. So there were all these steps that you had to go through until you get to the payoff of like, oh, I finally get to the Python part of this. But I mean, sometimes that's the way that things work. You got
That's
to have,
true.
all these systems and services in place and hooked together and watching each other. It's just not a single pane of glass where you're doing everything right there all together. So
I
it,
agree.
it it worked. Yeah, it
It
worked.
did. It did. And if you'd done this in your, your free tier account,
Mhm.
which could it be the one before July or the one after July, doesn't matter.
Mm,
Um, if you had an instance running, you could go ahead and use the one that was already there. But because this is a new alarm that you're setting, you're just going to have insufficient data. At that point I was
yeah,
like, okay, let me just keep reading because I'm not coming back to this.
yeah,
Maybe I'll check to see if it actually rebooted. I don't know, but um, I wasn't mad at that use case and his
yeah,
example.
yeah, no doubt. Then we got to an example that I really kind of sunk my teeth into.
I know which
And
one you're talking about.
yes, it's the one where he used Jupyter Notebook,
Yes.
a Jupyter Notebook with Matplotlib to analyze CPU utilization. Um, and I have thoughts
Hmm.
and some notes, but I did enjoy this one. And I've got a demo that I'm going to show
Ah,
here in just a second. But so I guess overall the overall takeaway is like, yes, you can use Python to analyze data, and if you're working with Matplotlib, you can plot this data and information, look at it. But as we have discussed, there are better tools for doing things like this. You're probably, as a DevOps engineer, not going to be given, uh, after the fact, a CSV file and say, "Hey, this is the CPU from yesterday. Analyze this and tell me what your thoughts are." Um, you're probably going to use CloudWatch. You're going to use
mm-hmm.
Datadog, New Relic, Splunk, or something like that. Number
Yes,
one, to look at whatever the important data is, but then number two, to correlate that data with something else that happened on the system.
exactly.
Because if you're analyzing a problem in an incident, you need to know what happened, right? You're not just looking at just some chart. You need to know what else went on at the same time that
At the
all the
same time,
information
I
occurred.
agree.
So yeah, so it was a good example, I think, for learning how to read data sets into
Yes,
Python and analyzing the information visually. But it was just that it was like an entree into
I
the
agree.
concept, as opposed to like a fully baked example of how you're using uh, DevOps.
And I don't want to set this up to say the examples aren't fully baked. I think
Mhm.
if you stand this one or others on their own, there is a point the author is trying to make, and I get that, right? We said this the first time or last week. You want the right tool for the job. It
Mhm.
just talks about Python specifically, and it could very well be another X tool, right?
Mhm.
So um, I'm just going to summarize. So we talked about because I'm gonna let you have this one. I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah,
let you
sure.
go ahead and let you cook. But this last one we got to use. I used Google Colab again for this one, and very very clean, very easy to be able to generate some mock data to show the visualization of the CPU utilization. There was a part in there where he wanted me to to change the data so the chart
Mhm.
would change, and I was just like, I tried a couple things. I did not chat GPT it or Google it, but I was like, oh, I see what you're doing here. It's very, this isn't, we would never see CPU utilization like that. It was
Yeah.
very unwieldy. It was the swings that were going, maybe so. But hopefully you size your instances in such a way that your CPU can handle that workload, because it was.
Yeah, it was kind of
I'm gonna
crazy.
let Mike. I'm gonna let Mike show you his example. So
Yeah.
um, The last thing I will say, for me, this was a much more approachable chapter, much more usable. Again, planting a seed for this is something that can be done in Python, but hopefully opening you up to looking at other tools to solve these really valid use cases in such a way. So I'm gonna let you cook.
All right. And speaking of cooking, Tech Coach Ralph, he's calling me Chef Mike over here. So let me cook. Let me see what we got whipped up for you all. So I did take the Jupyter notebook from the author's code. Shout out to him for giving us some code that ran pretty much out of the gate. I modified it a little bit. I'm using UV to pip install the stuff instead of just straight pip. But I also use mock data. Mockaroo was the site that he recommended to generate the data. So I did use that to get the first batch of mock data that I use. And here's an example of 1,000 data points from midnight to 1 a.m. I think was the time range that he used. And then he gives a snippet of code to plot that data. And just as you were describing, this data is like all over the place. So your chart, your graph is like funky, right? It's just looking at this kind of gave me the jitters because I didn't know even how to interpret this. So I talked to my good friend ChatGPT, and I was like, "Hey, Chat, how can I smooth this?" Yeah, like shout out to Chat. I was like, "How can I smooth this data out?" So it just makes a little bit more sense. And so Chat offered 3 options for smoothing it out. One was an exponential moving average, which is what you see here, and it gave a better approximation of the data, smoothed out, averaged. The next one was a rolling average, similar graph here. You can kind of see that green line in the middle. And if you're listening to this, I'll put a link to this Jupyter notebook in the show notes so you can see what we're talking about here on the screen. Then I also used a SciPy signal filtering. It was another one. I think this one was probably the most accurate out of the 3 because it showed more of the trend or where the spikes were. The other ones were a little bit more flat. But again, it's just like another way to sort of smooth this data out. But as you mentioned, Angela, he did show an example where he changed the data to show a spike or some sort of, like CPU flatline. Yeah, a sustained CPU measurement. And it looked kind of funky, but even to do that in a spreadsheet, I wonder how many points you changed, because I'm sure he probably had to change. We're talking 1,000 points.
Exactly.
He might have had to change like
I didn't make a dent.
500 or 600 points or something like that.
I didn't make a dent, and I dragged down to my CSV file, and I kept putting it back. And I said, you know what? No, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna move on to the rest of the chapter. So.
Yeah, no doubt. So I turned to my friend Chat and I was like, hey, can you like give me some data that's a little bit more representative of like realistic CPU data? And so I asked him to give me, and I'll just go to the chart here so it makes a little bit more sense. I was like, in the first 15 minutes of this hour, give me values between, I don't know, like 8 and 20 or something like that. And then like take it all the way up between like 95 and 100 for a half an hour, and then bring it down between 75 and, or I guess 60 and 75, something like that. And so this is more realistic to spikes that I've seen in CPU, where it's like, system's running fine, it's not doing anything, it's just sitting there. Then all of a sudden, wham, it gets hit over the head with something that it doesn't know how to handle, or it's taken all the effort that it possibly, can give to handle the problem. It's spiked. And then whatever that thing is stopped, and maybe, there's some residual sort of processing going on. Or, you come along, you reboot it, and then it goes back to normal, whatever the case is, as we talked before. But I think this was a little bit better, well, I should say a little bit more realistic example of sustained CPU than sort of the straight line that he showed in the book.
Agreed. Well, I appreciate your very fine example of prompt engineering to get our friend Chat to do exactly what you asked of them, and that's a testament to that. So this is definitely a skill to be able to go and obtain the information that you want, to get it to bend it to your will, and come up with something very usable.
No
that
doubt.
was a good example of that. I was just like, nah, I'm going to move on. I had other stuff to do before we met today.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Yeah, because I thought about that too. I was like, how am I going to edit these lines, like to find the timestamp that I want to change and make sure that they're in order? Because the mock data is not in order. Like
It
the
is
the
not.
script, the notebook sorts the data by timestamp so that you get this, very regular XY axis, from in time going from what left to right, and so it would be hard to manually edit that file. So yeah, I was like, hey, chat, can you help me out with this? And chat was my sous chef. If I'm
Came
if I'm
through.
Chef Mike on this, yeah, chat was definitely in the kitchen helping me out.
I love it. Well, any last thoughts on chapter 6? What do you
Uh,
think?
yeah, I thought it was good. Again, it was another opportunity, as you mentioned, to just like if you're following along and you're trying to touch all these services and systems that the author is presenting to you, you're in GCP, you're in AWS, you're thinking about Kubernetes, you're messing around with a Jupyter or Colab notebook or whatever. So he's definitely, keeping it at a fast pace.
Yes.
Theoretical in some places where I would want a little bit more depth, but again, I understand that if you're writing a book, you can't, write the book on Kubernetes inside your book on Python for DevOps. So I appreciate the the light touch that he's using with some of the things, which might inspire the reader to go and do their own research outside of the book.
Yeah, and that I have to parrot you on that. It is one of those things that it just plants the seed of what is possible.
Mhm.
And I think that's a good thing. Like if a book that is its whole job is to teach you something, hopefully there's something in there that you're willing to take further, right? You're not just going to go through the exercise and say, "Oh, I've done this," and just move on. Hopefully there's something in here where you could apply it to what you do on a daily basis, and if not using Python as your solution, again, opening it up to using the right tool for the job. So I really liked the chapter 6 more so than chapter 5,
Mhm.
but it isn't a knock. It's the use cases are very valid in both chapters, and it's just that he's using Python as the tool. So if you're new, this might be a gateway for you. But
Mhm.
again, that, like you said, the Kubernetes one was just a bit of a leap. Uh,
Mhm.
and yeah, so anyway, I say all that to say good read this week.
Mhm.
Nice bite size. It wasn't too overwhelming. We didn't have to cover a lot of
Yes.
information, but I got the gist of it. How about you?
Yep. Yeah, I have to agree. I've learned some new things about Python, the Marshall library. I was not familiar with that. Multiprocessing, I've used it before, but it was good to come back around to that. And I love hacking around in Jupyter notebooks, so that was
I
fun.
know.
So yeah, it was good. I enjoyed reading it, and I enjoyed working the exercises.
Shout out to my Python for all people.
Okay, no doubt. Yeah.
So,
Um,
what's
yeah.
next?
So coming up next, chapters 7 and 8, still keeping it in some pretty bite-sized, consumable chunks here. Chapter
Yes, sir.
7 is automating tasks, and chapter 8 is understanding event-driven architecture. Now, that chapter 8 might take us back to season 2, where we're talking about Lambda functions, and Lambda functions are all about events. So I might be breaking out the SAM CLI for chapter 8.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah,
Stay tuned, y'all. Stay
yeah,
tuned, because
I
he
know,
loves
right?
him and Sam. They had a
We
time
go,
last
me and Sam are
week.
like this, man. We are 10 toes down
Yes,
together.
indeed. So I won't look ahead. I won't look ahead. I'll wait
Okay.
until I get there. So I'm looking forward to next week. I'm looking forward to how we know Python is such automation. Python, come on, this is a no brainer. So 7 might be that girl right there, and
Hmm.
then 8 is a little bit of icing on the cake. You
Yeah.
hopefully getting to meet your friend Sam again, but I'm not going to look ahead. I'm not going to jump ahead, but I'm
Yeah,
excited.
I haven't scanned ahead either.
Yeah,
I
I'm
wanted to
excited
be a
about number
surprise. Yeah.
7. I'm
Yeah. It's
excited.
like, oh man, can I actually break out the SAM CLI again? Are we deploying to Lambda?
Let's see. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for me. I told you how I felt. Oh,
Yep.
wait, let's look at some of our comments, what we had.
Yeah, we did have some comments come through. Just to shout out the folks that are
Thanks for
joining
watching.
us.
Thanks for
Yeah,
watching.
Sterling, thanks for joining us. We were talking about troubleshooting. He said step one is the power on or did you restart? And step two is the Ethernet cord plugged in. So that's definitely important.
For sure.
And we were talking about charting with Python or graphing with Python. Tech Coach Ralph says Matplotlib is his arch nemesis.
Really?
As long as you get those, get the parameters right, you could get some pretty good information, pretty good charts out of Matplotlib. There are better plotting libraries, I will say, but Matplotlib gets the job done. If all you need is to put some data on an XY axis, then Matplotlib is good to go. And then we were talking about Kubernetes, and Tech Coach Ralph says he dabbled in Kubernetes earlier this year, and it's a monster.
It is.
Yeah. It's a lot to handle. There's so much capability there. And I almost hate that some people think that they need Kubernetes out of the box for like Hello World application. You don't. But it's best to start small, start on your local system with Minikube or even Docker. Now Docker Desktop has Kubernetes built into it.
Or Podman Desktop, get it right.
Podman, I just installed and this is a total diversion from what we're talking about. I installed Podman Desktop on a Ubuntu 2404 system just last week. Out of the box, wonderful experience.
Okay.
Totally loving Podman on that system. Yeah, it's been really good.
Awesome. Love to hear that. Well, thank you for rocking with us. Thank you for giving us your time. You could be doing anything right now, but you chose to be here with us. And it is not, it is, that's a nod to my man, Jay-Z. We appreciate that, so I love this conversation, trying to avoid the Docker fig. Yeah. Come on over to that. Come on, Podman. Come on now.
Who is that? Oh yeah. Tech Coach Ralph says, yeah, you don't want to help those Docker folks, add to their but because Podman's it's open source and free to use. So
yes, indeed.
sure.
Yes, indeed. So we will be back next Wednesday. I think it's next Wednesday. You can catch our replays out on YouTube at Cover to Code. We're always on social media, cutting it up, interacting with folks. Be sure to, if you're not following us, follow us so we can make that connection. And I hope to see you here next week.
I will be here with bells on and with my Kindle because I still don't have the print book of this.
That's okay. That's okay. We do what we must. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon.